materials.
Sure.
So
Materials they would be some sort of paper, and they could probably choose, or we could specify the size maybe,
Yeah.
or ask that it look like a CD cover size.
I mean, they would need, if they were going to do it all by hand, markers or
Yeah.
colored pencils or something, or computer images.
Yeah, I was going to ask, we could specify that they could do it by hand or on the computer,
Yeah.
as there are students who are more comfortable with either. So,
other things that obviously they need are their songs, their titles. So that comes in with the research. So they need things they need to be able to put on there. So the songs.
And they need to be able to access them computers.
Yeah.
So we'd have to have at least some class time in order to research that kind of thing.
So other things that they would need, just more generally, is you'd have to, based on the kinds of grammar and the language you use, the types of verbs, you need to make sure that your students need to know how to conjugate verbs, key words, key phrases. Maybe you might even offer a list to get them started. Like, here are some words you might think about using, so they might need something like that.
Like you mentioned too, we both included kind of little invitations, like je souhaite une bonne écoute. We could maybe present in some sort of language letter different invitations of the, so that they could present it as this CD soundtrack for the trip, as they are kind of entering into this contest. So that could be something given on a language ladder, so they do have different choices of what they would need. In regards to language at this level, I think that they wouldn't, I mean, we could go one level further and talk more about descriptions or that sort of thing, where they would need more adjectives, but that would be for differentiating.
Right. Okay, so do you want to talk?
Okay, so you're on the right track. One thing I want to point out is the use of color in those images, because when you get to the point of giving value to that, you have to remember that there might be students who choose to do theirs in black and white. Okay, and that can be really tasteful, very creative, and very effective with the kinds of songs that they've chosen. So we have to be cautious about always requesting things that we think are going to make it better. And you'll just want to be as inclusive as possible. Okay? Good. So I'm going to let you do that as a kind of a homework assignment, but I want to push forward onto something else. And that simply is to remind us about the different components of the program of studies that we're responsible for. So we know that we have to include language-related items, and I heard you mentioning things. I like to hear specific vocabulary and not just conjugations. Conjugations are important, but you wouldn't be giving them this if they didn't know how to conjugate. So it's more like you're reminding them about accuracy. You're reminding them about gender for accuracy. Okay, so I think you're on target there. When we think of culture, you've already mentioned a number of things like researching. The act of researching will take them to cultural sites, which will be another kind of a cultural experience that they pass through in the process of creating this assignment. And just want to remind you about learning strategies, right? And so we want to never forget that we want our students to be as independent as possible, but sometimes we might have to consciously teach them a learning strategy. So it's not like figure it out on your own, but you might try, and that's called, okay? So that would be a good thing to include as well.